The silent queen, voice trembling, almost a sigh. He does not cry, he does not wail as other children do. My heart fears the silence, for silence in a palace often hides shadows. Akhenaten, voice hushed, heavy with awe, stepping closer. Then he listens, my queen. He listens, because the gods have already spoken to him. He is no ordinary child. His ears are tuned to the voice of Aten. The silent queen pressing the child closer, whispering. But a babe should seek his mother's arms, not the call of distant gods. What if silence is not blessing, but curse? Akhenaten, firm, almost defiant. No, beloved. This boy is born beneath the rays of the living sun. His silence is not weakness, but strength, for he carries Aten's light where no cry is needed. Midwife saw Neferu, kneeling, whispering with unease. In all my years never have I seen such a birth. The gods mark him, yet which god claims him, none can say. The silent queen, gazing down, voice quivering between fear and wonder. Then let the world beware, for even in silence power stirs. My son, Tutankhamun. Thus was born Tutankhamun, son of Akhenaten and his queen, in the shadow of a new faith, a child of silence, carried between omen and promise. Yet already whispers crept through the palace walls. That silence is not always peace. In him, some saw the dawn of Aten's eternal reign, others the seed of ruin. History had opened its hand and placed within it a fragile life, a boy whose silence would echo louder than cries, and in that echo Egypt would tremble. Years passed, and the boy grew in the shadow of a father unlike any other. Akhenaten, Pharaoh of Egypt, who bent the kingdom to worship Aten alone, the living sun. Temples to the old gods crumbled, their statues shattered and buried beneath the dust. Priests who once commanded fear were silenced, their voices stolen by decree. For young Tutankhamun, the palace was both cradle and cage. A world where only one god shone, and all else was cast into exile. Yet in the silence of abandoned sanctuaries, Egypt itself whispered. For the gods of old do not fade so easily. Tutankhamun, softly with innocent wonder, pointing at ruins. Father, why are the statues broken? Why do their faces lie in the sand? Akhenaten, voice sharp, then softens, almost preaching. Because they are lies, my son, empty idols. Only Aten is truth, the sun that gives life, the light that never falters. All others are shadows meant to deceive. Tutankhamun, hesitant, whispering as if afraid to be overheard. But if they were gods once, will they not be angry? Will they not rise again? Akhenaten, stepping forward, firm yet fervent. Let them rise if they dare. Their time is gone. Aten alone stretches his rays to bless the living. You must learn this truth, for you are not only my son, you are Aten's chosen. The silent queen, folding arms, watching carefully, voice cool and measured. And yet, the people murmur in the streets. They bow, but not from faith, only from fear. A kingdom ruled by fear does not hold forever, husband. Akhenaten, eyes burning, dismissing her warning. Fear is but the shadow cast by the sun. When Aten shines brighter, shadows will vanish. Midwife saw Neferu, glancing nervously at Tut, whispering low. Then may the boy's heart be strong, for he stands between gods at war. The silence at his birth was only the beginning. And so the child of silence walked through a kingdom divided. His father's voice thundered of Aten, while whispers in the dark spoke of forgotten gods. Tutankhamun's eyes saw broken statues, but in his heart he carried unspoken questions. Was Aten's light eternal, or would the shadows rise again? Egypt's fate and his own, balanced upon the edge of a silence yet to be broken. The sun blazed above Akhetaten, capital of Aten's glory, yet beneath the golden rays, the air was thick with silence. Temples of Amun lay in ruin, their priests driven into the shadows, their chants buried in dust. But faith does not vanish with a king's decree. Whispers returned like the desert wind, winding through broken statues and ruined walls. Even as Akhenaten stood before Aten's altar, declaring his god eternal, Egypt's heart beat for the gods of old. And in the middle, Tutankhamun, the boy who listened more than he spoke, his silence a question no decree could silence. Akhenaten, commanding voice, almost yelling, "Behold Aten, the only god who gives life, whose rays stretch to every corner of the earth. All others are but falsehoods, crumbled stone, with no breath of power." Tutankhaten, hesitant and troubled, voice low and close to tears, "If Aten alone gives life, why then do the people weep when they pass the temples of Amun? Do they not remember something you have taken?" Akhenaten, sharply, almost angry, yelling, "They cling to chains, my son. The weak always mourn the prison when the gates are torn down. But Aten's light frees them, even if they do not yet see it." The silent queen, voice low, dramatic, and close to sadness. "Yet a kingdom is not won by breaking its heart. These ruins do not only silence gods, they silence hope, and men without hope are dangerous." The high priest, whispering with unease and defiance, "The old gods do not die. Their temples may be broken, their priests cast aside, but their names remain in the breath of the people, and one day that breath will roar." Akhenaten, furious and yelling, "Blasphemy! You dare speak their names in my halls! Aten alone holds the throne of heaven." Tutankhaten, voice quivering between fear and wonder, close to crying. "But if Aten is eternal, why must the others be destroyed? Can light not shine without crushing the shadows?" The high priest, whispering prophecy, "Because shadows are patient, young prince? They wait, and when suns fall, shadows remain." The silent queen, low, dramatic with sadness, "And even kings, my son, cannot rule forever." And so in the house of Aten, cracks began to show. A father's zeal clashed with a people's memory, a mother's warning, and a priest's defiance. Tutankhaten stood at the center, hearing the voices of gods, one blazing above, others whispering from the dust. The silence of his birth now echoed louder, a silence filled with questions. And soon that silence would fall upon the pharaoh himself. Years of Aten's fire were dimming. The great city of Akhetaten, once built to worship a single god, stood half empty, its temples echoing only with silence. The courtiers whispered, the priests plotted in shadows, and the army grew restless. In the palace chambers, Akhenaten, the heretic king, now lay weakened by illness and age. His reign had shaken Egypt's very soul, casting aside gods that had been worshipped for millennia. And now, in his fading breath, he turned to his young son, a boy of 9, whose eyes held both innocence and the unbearable weight of destiny. This was no ordinary moment in history. It was the ending of one faith and the fragile beginning of another. What the boy chose now would not only seal his own fate, but decide the fate of Egypt for generations. Akhenaten, voice breaking, fevered whisper, "Tutankhaten, my son, the gods of old are lies. Remember, Aten is the only light. Do not let them drag Egypt back into shadows." Tut, hesitant, trembling, near to cry, "Father, I am only a child. How can I carry the weight of gods and kings?" Silent queen, softly, sorrowful, "You should not burden him with war, Akhenaten. He is still just my son." Akhenaten, sudden flare of anger, "No, he is not just your son. He is Aten's chosen. Promise." Voice weakening. Tut, near tears, voice cracking, I will try, father. I will keep Aten's light, if it is truly the will of heaven." Akhenaten, fading, almost delirious. "The priests, they wait like jackals. Do not trust them. Not I, not even Horemheb. Only Aten. Only Aten." Silent queen, voice quivering, clutching Tut close. "Hush now, my love. Rest. Whatever gods remain will keep you." And with that, the heretic king was gone. The throne stood empty, and the boy was left between his father's fading dream and the roaring demands of Egypt's past. In the palace hall, the air grew thick with incense and ambition. Egypt's most powerful gathered around the boy king, each word sharpened with hidden blades. The struggle for Egypt's soul had begun. I, leaning close, voice smooth but commanding, "Your Majesty, the gods of old must be restored. Without Amun, without the temples, the kingdom will shatter." Tut, hesitant, voice quivering, "But my father swore Aten was the only truth. Am I to break his command? So soon after his death?" Horemheb, snapping, voice sharp with soldier's fury, "A king who clings to weakness will lose his crown. The army will not march for a god of silence." The silent queen, arms crossed, eyes fixed on Tut, voice low and prophetic. My son, you sit on the throne, but already I see others moving the pieces. Choose carefully, or you will be their pawn. High priest of Amun, bowing, voice thick with incense and power, speak Amun's name, Pharaoh, and Egypt will kneel again. Refuse, and the gods themselves may turn against you. I, voice lower now, pressing like a whisper in the boy's ear. You need only nod, my king. Let us restore Amun, and Egypt will know your greatness. Tut, childish but straining for strength. Then, if the gods demand it, let my name be Tutankhamun, not Tutankhaten. I will serve Amun. Horemheb, muttering through clenched teeth, unseen by Tut. You move him like a puppet, old man, but beware. Soldiers do not bow to whispers forever. I, with a thin smile, voice venom hidden under honey, and soldiers without a throne are but blades with no master. Remember that, General. Akhenaten's death did not bring peace. Instead, it ignited a struggle more fierce than any war, the struggle for Egypt's very soul. A boy was crowned, not as Tutankhaten, but as Tutankhamun, a name that restored the old gods to power. The temples roared again with incense and chants. The priests reclaimed their thrones of influence. Yet the air in the palace was heavy, with rivalry, with suspicion, with the taste of blood that had not yet been spilled. I, the cunning advisor, whispered promises of order. Horemheb, the hardened general, demanded strength through fear. And above them all, the silent queen watched her son, knowing he had been placed on a throne that might devour him whole. Thus, Egypt shifted once more, not with triumph, but with uneasy silence. For though a boy now sat on the golden throne of pharaohs, in truth, it was the shadows that ruled beside him, and those shadows were growing darker with every passing day. In the years after Akhenaten's death, the boy who once bore Aten's name became Tutankhamun. With this name, he restored Egypt's gods, its temples, its pride. Amun's banners rose high above Thebes, and the priests once silenced now chanted again in the sacred halls. To the people he was savior, healer of wounds his father had carved. Yet within the palace voices still clashed, for even as Egypt bloomed anew, whispers of betrayal and death crept closer. Every offering to the gods was shadowed by questions. Would Tut's youth bring strength or doom? The boy had become Pharaoh, Tutankhamun, restorer of gods, temples, and order. Incense rose once again to Amun, and the people cheered the return of Egypt's many gods. Yet not all incense was for the heavens. In the shadows of the court, Vizier A watched with patient eyes. To him, every temple rebuilt was a path paved to his own power. Every cheer for Tut was another reason to wait and strike when the gods fell silent once more. Tutankhamun sits, attendants watch. I and Horemheb stand nearby, silent queen at his side. High priest raises incense. Palace scribe waits nervously. Tutankhamun, calm but uncertain, seated on the throne. The temples rise again, and Egypt bows not to Aten alone, but to all her gods. I have returned balance to my people, yet I feel their eyes upon me, watching for weakness. I, standing near, whispering smoothly, my Pharaoh, strength is not in temples or names, but in the hand that holds the reed pen of law. You are young, yes. But with my counsel, the throne is unshakable. Horemheb, firm and almost challenging. Counsel means little without swords. The north stirs, the Hittites watch us. Egypt respects only the strong arm that holds the spear. Silent queen, gazing at Tut, protective. My son is not alone. He carries not just the crown, but the blood of kings. Do not treat him as prey for your ambitions. High priest of Amun, raising incense reverently. The gods smile upon him, my queen. Amun has returned, his voice thunders in the sanctuaries. But remember, Pharaoh, the gods give, and the gods may take away. Palace scribe, reading scrolls aloud nervously. Tributes flow once more from Nubia, gold from Cush, grain from the Delta. The people sing your name in joy, Pharaoh. Yet rumors creep in the marketplaces that the young king is fragile. Tutankhamun, frowning, more resolute. Fragile? No. I hunt, I ride, I lead. Egypt will see that Tutankhamun is not a shadow, but a flame. I, nodding slightly, whispering to himself, a flame can burn bright, but also burn out swiftly. The crown must endure, even if the head beneath it does not. Horemheb snapping back defensively. The head will endure if it is guarded by my army. Without me, this kingdom collapses. Silent Queen stepping between them sternly. You circle my son like jackals. He is Pharaoh. You will not tear him with your quarrels. He is stronger than you think. High Priest, lowering voice ominously. Strength fades when the gods decide, my queen. We serve eternity, not flesh. Remember that. Tutankhamun, softly, almost to himself. And yet, eternity feels so near. The gods whisper louder each night, as if they already call my name. Thus, Tutankhamun restored the gods of Egypt, and the temples rang once more with hymns. To the world outside, he was Pharaoh, young, radiant, eternal. But within the palace walls, shadows deepened. His vizier whispered of destiny. His general thundered of war. His priests muttered of divine judgment. And the boy king, barely a man, stood at the center of a storm he could not yet name. Whispers of weakness spread through the court, and whispers in Egypt had a way of becoming curses. Soon the glory of restoration would give way to the silence of the tomb. The palace grew still. No laughter of servants, no echo of footsteps. Only silence. A silence so deep it pressed against the walls of Thebes. Tutankhamun, no longer the boy prince, but yet still so young, lay weak upon his bed. His reign had been brief but bright. Temples reopened, the gods restored, Egypt reborn. Yet shadows crept closer, whispers of betrayal mingling with rumors of illness and wounds. Was it an accident? Was it the curse of the gods? Or the hand of men? The truth, like the desert sands, slipped through history's fingers, leaving only silence. Royal physician, kneeling by Tut's bed, voice trembling but trying to reassure. My king, your body weakens, yet your spirit fights still. Rest. For healing may yet come with the dawn. Tutankhamun, faint, voice fragile but determined. No dawn lingers for me, physician. The gods have called louder than your herbs, and I hear them. Servant, whispering to another at the doorway, fearful. They say this is no illness. They say Aten's wrath has returned for the boy who betrayed his father's god. Second servant, replying quickly, voice anxious, hush, speak not of curses within these walls. If death listens, let it not find us guilty of treason. I, standing beside the bed, leaning closer, voice low, deliberate, Your Majesty, Egypt needs strength. If you fall, the throne cannot lie empty. I will guard your legacy. I will keep the kingdom whole. Tutankhamun, forcing breath, looking at him, faint smile of suspicion, guard or claim I? Egypt knows the difference, and so will the gods. Horemheb, stern, watching, voice cold and sharp. The boy is dying, and Egypt cannot wait. The army stands restless. A weak throne invites chaos. We must act before the land is swallowed by disorder. High Priest of Amun, lifting hands, voice booming with ritual weight. Horemheb, Silence! The Pharaoh's breath is still with us. We do not bury kings before their heart is still. Tutankhamun, son of Amun, chosen of the gods, they wait for you, but so too do your people. Akhenaten's soul. A spectral voice echoing, hushed but heavy with warning. My son, you abandoned Aten. You embraced shadows, raised crumbled gods, betrayed the light. This silence is your judgment. Tutankhamun, weak, eyes flicker as if seeing the spirit. Whisper of defiance. No father. Not judgment. Choice. The in Egypt will choose its gods, not your shadow of one. I, gripping the bed frame tighter. Voice steeled, almost claiming authority already. If the gods claim him tonight, then Egypt must claim me tomorrow. The young Pharaoh's breath faltered. Around him, grief, fear, ambition, and faith collided in a single chamber. Was it poison? Was it a wound from battle? Was it curse or betrayal? None would ever be proven. And when his eyes closed, Egypt gasped, a kingdom leaderless, yet watched by gods both old and new. In silence, he passed. And in silence, the struggle for Egypt's soul erupted. The boy who once ran through palace halls now lies in eternal silence. His body, fragile yet royal, is prepared by steady hands. Gold embraces him, linen binds him, and upon his face, the mask, radiant, unyielding, immortal. The boy king lies silent. Tutankhamun, once Tutankhamun, son of Akhenaten and heir to the Aten, now wrapped in linen and gold. The priests chant, the queen weeps, and Egypt holds its breath. Death has stilled him, but in his silence, voices of ambition grow louder. Silent queen, kneeling, grief-stricken, trembling hands on his body. My son, my light, Aten took your father, and now the gods take you. Did we follow the wrong son, or did envy strike you down? Even in death, I will guard you with my cries. High priest of Amun, intoning, arms raised in solemn blessing. Tutankhamun, beloved of Amun, your Ka joins Osiris. You restored the temples, you brought back the gods. In death, you will sit beside them in judgment, eternal. I, stooping close to the bier, whispering, words laced with calculation. A child king is gone, but Egypt still breathes. Who among us will carry the double crown? The gods have made their will, yet men must act. Horemheb, stepping forward, jaw tense, voice edged with iron. Men or schemers, Egypt does not need whispers, it needs strength. The crown should fall where power can protect it, with the army. Silent queen, sudden cry, fury breaking through tears. Enough! My son is not yet sealed, and already you gnaw at his throne. Is there no shame in you both? High priest, commanding, voice deep and final. Silence! Before the presence of Osiris, ambition is blasphemy. Let the boy king pass in peace, or may the gods mark your greed. Egypt bled from within. Well, Carter, what do you see? Howard Carter, trembling, awestruck. I see wonders untouched by time, gold, statues, and there, the boy king himself, as if the sun had never set. Time moves like the Nile, ever forward, yet circling back on itself. Tutankhamun's heart ceased more than 3,000 years ago, yet in 1922, his voice returned, not in words, but in silence, sealed in gold. The boy king who once ran through Akhenaten's halls, who restored gods only to fall before man or fate, lies unbroken by centuries. Death could not erase him. Time could not forget him. Every age that gazes upon his mask sees its own reflection. Mortality, ambition, the whisper that all empires fade, but memory endures.